I would have known of Islam. I would have had very close friends of mine, Irish friends who were Muslim, and they would have sat in my kitchen and talked to me a long time about Islam and about why I should convert to Islam, and I would challenge them why I shouldn't convert to Islam. And I guess, to cut a long story short, I'd be here all night. I came to a critical stage in my life, and I remember opening the Quran and looking at the first Surah Al-Baqarah and reading it. And I remember saying to myself, you know, this is making sense. I was skipping, going to parts of it, skipping, coming back, looking for answers and finding answers. And I remember saying, you know, OK, I'll go ahead, I'll do this, I'll do my shahada, I'll do my testimony of faith, and I'll leave the rest in your hands. And I began to pray a prayer which is called istikhara, which is the guidance when you need something from God, from Allah, you know, for guidance and help. And I mean, my prayers were answered instantly, where I had been praying for years and years and years. I was praying to saints, I was praying to statues, I was kneeling in the church to statues, I was lighting candles, I went to Lourdes, and, you know, within a matter of, I'd say, 8 weeks, the strength that I had been looking for a long time, for 18 years, was given to me. Now, to me, my prayer was answered. My path was there, and my journey had just begun. So that's where I am up to today, and I'm still on that journey. I don't claim to know everything about Islam, but I am learning, and I'm very happy where I am in my life, and I really wouldn't change it.
What did Islam give you that Catholicism didn't?
It gave me a sense of understanding. It gave me a sense of, OK, just, Lorraine, you can pray to God. You don't need to intercede through Jesus. You don't need to intercede through Mary. You don't need to intercede to... At one stage, I used to be on my knees with the Padre Pio, praying to Padre Pio, praying to every kind of saint that you could think of. I would pray to. I would go to Lourdes, and I knelt on my knees in the grotto in Lourdes praying to a statue. And all of this stopped. You know, I found in Islam, Lorraine, you don't need to intercede to anybody. You pray to God.
But you could have done that as a Catholic.
No, as a Catholic I was praying to Jesus. And I would have thought that my teachings was that Jesus is God.
All right, yeah.
You know,
you
where I don't...
You would have believed you were praying to God.
No, I would have... this is where the questions were with me. It was, who am I praying to? Am I praying to Jesus? Am I praying to God? Is the Holy Spirit interceding for me? Who am... These were the questions that was in my mind as a Catholic, and these were the answers that I found in Islam. No, Jesus is a prophet, and he was born of a virgin birth, the same as what the Bible says, and all his miracles and all what he did are the same in the Quran, but he was a prophet. And that gave me a sense of understanding, a sense of logic, a sense of, yes, Lorraine, at long last you've actually found what you're looking for. I can only speak for me. And I found the answers that I had been looking for in my life.
Were you not put off at all by the representations of women in the Quran and in the Muslim tradition? I
was, because the first time that I would have met a Muslim and got to know, I walked into the mosque in South Circular Road in 1986. And as I said to you, a dear friend of mine used to talk to me about it, and she used to sit in my kitchen with this clothes I have on, which is called an abaya, and she used to have her hijab on. And I'd be sitting... blankly, I'm going to say, with my cigarette, my cup of tea, and going, do you honestly think that I am going to ever dress like that? Do you honestly think that I can give up my freedom and be like that? You'll never see me like that. You'll never see me like that. So yes, I was put off by media's representation of what a Muslim woman's life is about. But you have to understand, you know, I had been living among Muslims for a long time as well. So I began to see Islam for what it really was, really is, and not for what it's perceived to be. So I started to understand and look at the rights of Muslim women and look further into... You're going to come at me now, aren't you?
I'm going to quote a bit of the Quran. I've got to quote a bit of the Quran, which I think might be troubling to some women. Okay. And it is... Surah, that's what it's called? Surah 4:34. Men have authority over women because God has made the one superior to the other, and because they spend their wealth to maintain them. Mm-hmm. Good women are obedient. They guard their unseen parts because God has guarded them. As for those from whom you fear disobedience, admonish them, forsake them in beds apart, and beat them. Then, if they obey you, take no further action against them. Surely God is high, supreme.
Okay.
Did that not?
No, it didn't, because I had to. No, it didn't, because if you look, you're reading out of that, there's a lot of understanding into that, and we look further on hadiths. Basically, a man's wealth, yes, he has to look after the woman. He has to provide for her everything he works for, his money. Okay, like Abdul's job right now, he has to provide everything for me and the children. But what you're not reading there...
You're married to it.
Yes, but what you're not reading there is my work and my money, I don't have to hand over. Nothing. To the house, or to the family, or to Abdul. Islam gives me that right under the women's rights to hold on to anything I earn. Now, if I want to, and he needs money, and he'll come to me and say, okay, there's a bill, I can say, no, that's my money. Islam gives me the right to protect me, and you have to find the money and work to pay that bill.
But he can beat you.
No, he cannot beat me. You need to look into that. He cannot beat me. And also, there's a limitation, it says there, about miswak, about the man tipping the woman, okay? Also read further in, there's no limitation to what a woman can do.
As for those from whom you fear disobedience, this is to a man, admonish them, forsake them in beds apart, and beat them.
Okay. That beating, you need to look further into that. It's talking about a miswak. You're taking a passage, if you read further on, it's not about beating, because you're not allowed. Islam does not promote domestic violence. You are not allowed to mistreat your woman. You are not allowed. Actually, you're quicker and you get more rewards in Islam the more kindness you show to your wife.
You want to get in on this?
Yes, I wanted to tell you what you see that verse in isolation. That is one verse that probably claims or says that men are not superior, but responsible for women. I would not say superior. I'd say responsible for women.
This translation says
that's a translation.
Okay.
You've got to go back to the original text, which is in Arabic. But you need to look at the plethora of verses that talk to men, address men, and exhort them to look after their family, look after their women, look after their parents, look after their communities. As in Islam, men and women have equality in many ways. First of all, in God's eyes, we are equal. Second, if you read the Quran from cover to cover, you'll see that the number of times men have been mentioned and women have been mentioned is equal. It's 23. And just to add to that the number of chromosomes in a cell is also 23 plus 23. That makes it 46. And Islam talks a lot about, the Quran in particular talks a lot about your behavior, your conduct with your family members, with your neighbors, and with your fellow human beings. So if you look at that verse in isolation, yes, you might think or you might feel that it's a very chauvinistic, very male-oriented religion. But in reality, that is not the case. She rules. My wife rules. And that's the end of the story. And my day and night, my earning, my hard work, she has the right to consume it and spend it the way she sees fit, and we see fit. Obviously, we have to be in agreement.
Lorraine, why do you dress the way you do? Why do Muslim women dress like that?
Okay, well, you're told to cover your modesty. Cover, okay.
What does that mean, cover your modesty? Basically,
you're told to cover your bosoms, your down. You're told to cover, okay, in the Quran, and it's backed up by hadiths. And
hadiths, we should explain, they're not part of the Quran. Okay. They were sayings of Muhammad and practices of Muhammad throughout his life, but they weren't part of the revelations.
That's true, and the two of them complement each other.
Yeah, the two of them complement each other.
But presumably the Quran takes precedence.
Of course.
Yes, yeah. Right.
So we cover we wear, like, as you see in abaya here, I'm not in one full time. Most of the time I do wear it, but we would wear loose clothing. We cover our heads.
Why do you cover your head?
Why do I cover my head? I cover my head in my hijab because my beauty, to me, is only for my husband. And you could turn around, and someone asked me this in the weekend, why do you cover your head, Lorraine? I explained to them, to me, my beauty, my modesty is for my husband. Why has he got a beard? Because he covers his face as well. It's part and package of his covering too. The covering, you see, in Western society, people only look to the women. They're not looking to the rules of the men. He has to cover in a certain way. He's not allowed to go out in tight-fitting trousers. He's not allowed to go out in shorts. He's not, he has to have his beard. It's sunna for him to have a beard. And what rules apply for me, I expect them rules to apply for my husband as well. We are on a path and a journey together in our life. And we're very happy within the Islamic ethos and the Islamic teachings. But sadly, in today's society, Westernized society is just focusing in on women and saying they're oppressed, they have no life, they're ridiculed to domestic violence, they're ridiculed to having no decisions, no education, they're ridiculed to having no say in their own decisions in life, where that's not right. That is not right. There is, I'm not denying that there's not domestic violence within some of the Islamic countries. There is, but that's broad all over. I mean, a lot of kind of people will come up to me and say, you know, Muslim men, they really kill their wives. And I would say back about 10 years ago, I did training with the DVS, Domestic Violence Service here, I'll say in Ireland, I'm not going to say where. And the hotline on the phone was from 9 to 1. Now, there was calls coming in there from Catholic women. But was I going out and saying, the Catholic men are killing their wives? No. Men were being subjecting women to violence on a broad horizon. But yet when you hear of a Muslim woman getting hit, she's automatically labelled, oh, Muslim men. The man is labelled as Muslim men kill their wives. So, you know, you have to look at it both sides, you know, on the broader horizon and the broader scale.
Albert, there seems to be a division among Muslim theologians over the interpretation of the Quran, and since there's no ecclesiastical authorities within Islam, there's no easy way of resolving this. But one of the difficulties seems to be that some people want to interpret the Quran literally, as happens in Christianity as well, of course, and others want to say, well, look, that was written at a particular time when there were particular cultural influences at play, and you have to bring this into another context and look at the spirit of it, etc. To what extent are the liberals in the forefront, or are the traditionalists in the forefront in Islam?
Well, again, as there is no central authority, there's a very rich and extremely diverse tradition of interpreting the Quran. And as you said, you know, there are those who take the Quran literally, those who think, the message of the Quran needs to be adapted to current situations. So the very issue of how to understand the Quran, how to understand, such controversial verses as you've just quoted, is very much contested in contemporary Islam. I mean, it's not that sort of, Muslims will just, blindly accept them. These things are very much debated within scholarly circles, among, Muslim men, Muslim women. So, I mean, there's a lot of debate going on. And I suppose it's a bit difficult to say who's sort of winning the battle. Is it the conservatives, the liberals? Obviously, one also needs to acknowledge that, very often, within, Muslim majority societies in the Middle East,